Hey YouTube, this video is basically on something that probably most people won't have. So it's not, a video specifically just to help people, but hopefully it does help some people because I acquired this. Just put my finger here. This fountain. It's basically you can see the water running down. It's literally just a fountain, and I was looking for something to put on top of my mantle. I had no idea when I was looking on Facebook Marketplace. It just didn't look this big. It was just in a wall. It looked smaller, way smaller, and it looked like something I could put up there. That's just a painting that I put myself, or painted myself, and I just wanted something, to go up there. Other than that, I don't know. Anyway, when I went to pick it up, I was like, oh my God, this thing is huge. And it weighs a ton. It's like 250 pounds at least because of all the rocks. And I'm just talking about this piece, not the top and not the bottom. And on the backside is hardy board, which is concrete. And then they put all these rocks on it. There was hoses running behind it, cross members that are all copper. It's all copper. So the lady told me that it was actually a fountain. She worked for a company that, when hotels go out of business, this, that, whatever, they salvage a bunch of stuff, and that's how she acquired it. So she had it, hanging on her wall, whatever. I paid $550 for this, and it came with the top piece that just has lights in it. So it didn't come with this trough in the bottom, so there was no way to use it as a fountain. But I was like, oh man, this thing is so cool that I would love to use it as a fountain. And I tried, so many places. I called fountain places, everything else. They asked, oh, what are the dimensions, all this stuff. Nobody would help me. I bought this thing literally 2 years, 7 months ago, and nothing I could do with it. So essentially I just had it sitting on the wall here, leaning up against the wall for all that time. And I didn't even have, the top up here. Finally, I decided to mount it. Again, it's really heavy. It came with this thing that you mount in the wall, and then this hangs on that, and then you put the top on. And I really liked it. So I started doing my search again to try and get some way to have a trough at the bottom for the water. And there's a pump in there and so on and so forth. So I found this, basically I designed the trough myself. Didn't know what it was supposed to look like, how big it should be, the whole thing. But I wanted to make it wider than the fountain. And you can see it's 3 inches on each side. And I didn't know how far forward to bring it, but it's 10 inches deep, and it's 10 inches deep and 10 inches deep that way. There's also a panel that I had, that, I don't want to say a panel, it's steel that goes up behind here, and then it's mounted behind this whole wall, screwed into the studs. And so I found a guy that was willing to, so basically I bought the steel from a steel place in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I wish I could remember. I can't do it while I'm videoing because it's on my phone. And they were willing to cut the pieces exactly how I wanted them. I also, it creates a little bit of foam. So let me just move this out of the way. So you can see the pump down here. It's right in there. And another little trick that I figured out, I have it resting on something, it comes from Australia. They're like napkins, but they're very absorbent. And rather than using a bunch of paper towels, they invented those that last like forever. Anyway, they're way more absorbent than a paper towel. I rested the pump on it because it helps with the sound. I'll just be quiet. So you can hear it, but when it's resting on the metal, it's way louder. It resonates through the whole thing because it's metal, and then there's water and so on and so forth. So I rested it on that, and it quieted it right up. So what I was showing you are these cross members here. So the guy that I designed it to put one here, and again, there's another one there. I just wanted to give it front and back. I wanted to give it stability because there's 100 pounds in just water inside there. And again, I was a firefighter, so 8.3 pounds per gallon of water. So I did the math based on, the size of this thing. There's 100 pounds of water in there. So essentially, I designed it to just hopefully be able to be mounted and hold up and be strong enough to not, with the water in there. It's actually also 10 gauge steel. That's the steel that I used. And again, so I went to this guy. He's local. I just looked up on Google to find him, and here is his information. Great guy. That's his phone number, whole thing. And you could probably scan that and get more information and watch things that he's done and so on and so forth. But he's awesome. And, he took on the project. I was going to do it with my dad. Didn't end up happening. And so he took on the project and came out great. So basically he welded it all together. Then he waterproofed inside and then stained the whole thing. And once I got it, I used 2 different color paints. One is copper and one is another darker copper to try and make it match, because essentially everything is actually copper, but to have it made in copper would have cost an absolute fortune. Again, this fountain, I've seen them online, 3, 4, up to like 15 grand. I paid $550 for that piece and the top piece. I did not use copper. I used steel for the bottom. My dad didn't want me to. He wanted me to use stainless, this, that, whatever, but I think it's going to be fine. And again, because Jay is his name, he sealed the whole inside and then primed everything, and then I painted it. I think it's going to be fine, even with the water sitting in there. So, forever. So essentially, this is just a fountain. Issues that I had with it are, so it is leveled, but if you look up in here, not issues, but, so I put that thing up there. It's just a piece of plastic because there's just a hole right here. And when you turn up the pump, it was shooting the water up pretty high, like a whale spitting it out. And you'll see some rocks over here. Essentially, you're trying to get the water to run down the whole face. And it was only running down like from here over to there, so I thought it wasn't level. So I took the whole thing down, and the thing that I mounted there realized it was level. So why is it not going? So I was cleaning it out, and again, this could be just a project just for myself, but if anybody else has a fountain or buys one secondhand, hopefully this will help you. So when I started vacuuming it out because I didn't want like gross water coming down. It was hanging on the lady's wall for who knows how many years. Then she gave it to me, or I bought it, and it just was sitting here. So, I wanted to vacuum it out and clean it up before I put water to it. And I found there's a trough up here. So if I put my finger here, it'll change the water. But my fingers, I'm getting soaked. So there's a trough up there. And like I said, there's a hole here. And there's a hose that runs all the way down. And then I had to add this black one to that pump. But up in that trough, when I was vacuuming it, there was just a piece of metal. And it was shaped like, come down, forward, up. Basically, it was shaped like the trough. What I'm trying to say. So it had a wall, then a bottom, and then came back up. Didn't make any sense of why it was up there. And then there was one pebble, one like river rock. I'm like, what the heck are these doing up here? So I threw them in the trash. Thankfully, I didn't take out the trash or anything. And when it wasn't filling the whole thing with water, I couldn't figure out why. Again, I've never had a fountain like this. And again, this I just designed myself. So long story short, that hole that comes out, that piece of metal, basically what I did is I took some rocks. I have bigger rocks. And I was trying to I'm like, well, maybe if I rest a rock right there where the hole is, it'll stop it from shooting straight up, because I didn't want to get all over the sheetrock and destroy everything and then rip this off the wall. So when I placed that first rock there, it cut that, whale blowing out to nothing. And it started to spread the water out. I was like, oh, that's great. So then I was adding more rocks, whatever, to make it, fully spread out everywhere. And after I did that, I was like, wait a minute, I wonder if that was what that piece of metal was for. So I dug it out of the trash and I stuck it up there where the hole is. And like I said, it's shaped like this, down, across, and up, and then just all flat in there. There's no side like this. So I set it face down. It immediately flipped it, so it was just like this. So down, across, and up. So it's laying in there just like this now. And it immediately stopped. So I don't even need that piece of plastic anymore. It stopped it from shooting up, and it spread it all out. And like I said, I've added some rocks. You can up here, that as you see, just to help the water come down. And it's just a fine-tuning thing to get it however you want it to be. All that foam that was down here, it's just because, as you see, as it's coming down, there's another little trough here that it sits on. My plan for that is I'm going to get some more river rock, and I'm just going to lay it in this trough and see if that helps with the foaming. It doesn't bother me at all, and it never gets too much where it's going to come over this. But I'm just still messing with it. So again, the point of the video is to help my buddy. Well, not buddy, but friend now again. Here's his card, Jay. He did an unbelievable job welding all this together. And when I met him, he was working on a pickup truck for another person, and doing a lot of welding on that. I can't remember what the parts was that he was working on. I was going to say quarter panels. It's not that. Rocker panels. And it literally only took him a day to do this, and it came out unbelievable. The reason for the mat is all fountains, especially something like this, sometimes you get little splashes. So I bought this mat, and it's good. It'll hold actually 5 cups of water, which it'll never have 5 cups of water on it. Just splashes. I know I have tile, but who wants water all over their floor? So, and it'll just evaporate out of there. So the point is, if anybody's, again, one of the reasons I wanted to make the video is because I couldn't find anything to help me design the trough if you didn't have it. And if you buy one of these secondhand, now you'll have a video that you can watch and give you some ideas on how to make the trough. If you do find yourself on this video and you want to know how I designed mine, and then I had Jay weld it up, just hit me up in the comments and I'll explain to you. I can even send you a picture of what I did in the whole thing. But without further ado, this is, a video on on the fountain, and I hope you like this video. If you do, please subscribe, rate it, comment. I always reach out to everybody that that does leave comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, YouTube.